Hello, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well, being kind to one another, staying healthy in times like these. This is Phil with Phil's Osophy. This is a channel where I share some of my random thoughts, ideas, and experiences and wisdoms so that maybe it can benefit somebody out there going through similar situations and something I'd like to share. Today, I'm going to talk about what does one do to get into a trades union, or what actions and behaviors should one take in order to sort of get their foot into the door. And so first, I'm going to talk about 3 ways that I think would be beneficial for you if that's something that you're interested in. And then I'm going to talk about kind of like my journey and what I did, which I don't really recommend, but some people, you might get some kind of interest in it or some kind of tips from hearing it. Anyways, let's start off. Number 1. Knowing somebody. I'm telling you right now, it's not a myth. Unions are old school. They're mentally in the 1950s, and it still works. Knowing somebody gets you in the door. I'll give you a few examples of things that I saw and then things that I had first-hand experience with. Things that I saw was I grew up in a neighborhood, old school, Irish, Italian, Polish, North Side neighborhood of Chicago, where everybody was either a union guy, a cop, or they worked for the family business. And a lot of these people, they had fathers or uncles who were in the union that all they had to do was say, hey, this is my fucking, this is my son, this is my nephew, get him in. And they could skip right through the test, through the apprenticeship. I mean, they didn't have to do anything, because that's how some things were done. That's if it really matters how deep you know somebody, and those things work. And all of those people got in. While me, I grew up most of my life without a dad. I didn't know anybody. I had to test several fucking times, and we'll talk about that later. But it was tough not knowing somebody. The other thing that I want to mention is when I say that, you got to know somebody, some people get discouraged and they get like, their confidence kind of gets low because they're like, shit, I don't fucking know anybody. I don't know. I don't know anybody who works for a union. What am I supposed to do? Well, let me tell you something. I'm long-winded. I talk a lot. So I will say that knowing somebody doesn't exactly mean someone in your family or friend. What I did is I worked in a whole lot of different shops. I had a whole lot of experience, temp jobs and everything, where I worked with people who were, retired people, union reps, or, they had a relative that was in the union, and I just did as much talking as possible. Everywhere that you work, you should be like, hey, what are you into? What music you listen to? What's your favorite sports team? What's your favorite TV show? And you get to know people, So when you say, oh man, I don't know anybody, because you're sort of like thinking, I don't know anybody in my circle who can get me in a union. Well, then stretch that circle out, talk to more people, get more information, and that may help out. All right, number 2, working for an already unionized shop. So what does that mean? Well, this, I don't even know if I should have this on the list because it's so rare. But what it is there are shops that are already unionized. And what happens is they hire pre-apprentices off the street most of the time. They just hire somebody who, that does bitch work, that does, delivering crap or sweeping up the shop. And unfortunately, those people have to really go through a lot of stuff. They have to, if you get hired in one of those places, it's like you got to show up an hour early, turn on all the lights, turn on all the machines, do anything you can to kiss ass, and eventually they'll be like, you know what, I think I can write a letter of referral for you for the union, and they'll get you in if you, play your cards right. So that's something that you can do, but like I said, it's so rare because I've been a welder for 10 years, and I've worked at a series of different shops. The thing is, #welder life is all about, you work at shop A during their busy season, then you get laid off and you work at shop B during their busy season, then you work at shop C, and then you just rotate in circles, That's how it is with being a temp. So, they oftentimes they put you in the same place. But the thing is, none of the shops that I ever went to were unionized. And unfortunately, you can't I know because I tried it. You can't Google union shops in the area, on Google Maps. They don't let you know, because if it was known to the public, then a lot of people would be like, oh man, I want a union job, and they'd be applying there. So that's number 2. Now, number 3, this is the most important thing on the list, and this is probably the most important advice you will get for getting your foot into the door. Testing, okay? When I say testing, keep testing. Keep on testing. Now, I'm going to start talking about my journey a little bit when I talk about testing because of the mistake that I made. So what happens is I tried getting into the electricians union twice. I tested for it twice. I tested for the pipe fitters. I tested for the iron workers. And then I tested twice for the sheet metal workers. And then I finally got in 10 years later. Why is that a mistake? Well, because the thing is, for example, I tested for the electricians union and I was pretty pissed off because a lot of my friends were in that union. But the other thing is, there were people testing right next to me who I will tell you right now, they were fucking gorillas. The only thing they know how to do with a wrench is beat it against their head. They were dumb. And I knew it because I went to high school with them, and they got in. I didn't, because it goes back to rule number 1. They knew somebody. I got a better grade than them. I got like a 95, and I didn't get in twice. So they knew somebody. So what does that mean with test? So what happened is I took the test twice. I was like, this is bullshit. This guy that's got a rock for a brain got in and I didn't. So I got pissed off, and then I took like a 2-year break, and then I tried ironworkers, and then I took a 2-year break. And then I tried pipe fitters, and then I took a 2-year break, and then I tried sheet metal. And the thing is, what I could have done is all these unions are testing all the time. They're all different. So first of all, say you were trying to get into electricians work, right? There's probably 3 or 4 different locals in my state. So what you should do is test for all of them. They all test at different times. And the other thing is, I was testing for the locals that were near me. So I was testing for the electricians that were near me, and everything else, pipe fitters, ironworkers that were near me. What I should have done is that same year that I took electricians test, I should have taken the same year pipe fitters test, the same year ironworkers test, the same year sheet metal test, and done it every single year. So here's basically what I'm trying to say. If there's 5 unions that I was trying to get into, and it took me 10 years to get in, I could have taken the test 40 times. Could have taken it 40 times because of how much they test. Instead, I took it 10 times because I did each union once a year for 10 years. Not less than that. So I will tell you, just keep testing. The other advice that I will give is something that I did that is actually really beneficial. So actually, let's talk about my journey. So what I did is I worked at welding shops for 10 years throughout my history. Since I went to college for 4 years, when I got out around 23 or 25, I started to, nobody was hiring because that was around when the stock market crashed. So what I had to do is I took as many classes at a community college as I could. I got a security guard certificate. I passed a real estate exam, but I didn't know anybody in firms, so I didn't have any hookups. I didn't know anybody. So then I took welding classes, and sure enough, I ended up getting, as soon as I applied, everybody wanted to hire me because that's how many people wanted welding. So I just kind of got sucked in that direction, and I never really used my degree. And what ended up happening is I kept hearing, my friends being in unions. So I kept wanting to test. And like I said, I took the electricians, pipe fitters, and iron workers. And after that, I was so discouraged that I said, you know what? I don't know what to do, but what I am going to do is get as much experience as I can so that when I apply the next time and I show them my resume, they'll be like, this fucking guy means business. And so what I ended up doing is I took like 6 year break, just working at as many shops as I could. And I gained a whole lot of experience. I gained a whole lot of, knowledge, and working on different types of, one shop I worked at, I made cages for gorillas, no joke. And then another shop, I made Motorola boxes that was tedious aluminum welding, kind of like hard drives for computers, So, and then when I applied again, what I did, here's the key that I would say that nobody does this, but I telling you that this will get you in. Go to all the bosses that you've worked at and have them write a referral letter about you, because that's what I did. I worked at so many shops. It kind of benefited me that I was a temp, because it gave me a better odds at getting somebody to write me a referral letter. If I worked at one place the whole time, I'd get one letter. So I ended up getting 3 referral letters of people telling, what a hard worker I am, that I showed up on time, that I busted my ass, that I tried my best to move up as soon as I can. And I turned that in with my application. And when they're like, wow, you actually do mean business. So then obviously you have to ace the interview. And, I'm a talkative guy, so I kind of sweet talked my way in. I was, I'm not saying that I manipulated anybody, but I told them the truth. I'm a family man. I'm 34 years old. I need to support my family, and I'm done fucking around. I'm done partying and, smoking weed and stuff. Get me in, So anyways, that's my journey. Those are the 3 things that I would say you do. Either somebody, or you find a shop that you work at and progress and move up during that shop. Somebody will refer you there. And then number 3 is test. Keep on testing. Right now, you can go on Google and look up all your locals. Look up, wherever you're from. Type in your state. Type in, Operation Engineers Local, or Electricians Union, pipe fitters, iron workers, sheet metal, laborers, whatever you're into, you'll find it, and that'll set you on your journey. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will say that I have 2 more videos to show you having to do with trade unions that I highly suggest you watch, because they have to do with the benefits and the flaws of unions. So that might even change your mind on whether you even want to get in. I highly suggest you watch it. If you enjoyed this video, give me a like, a thumbs up, and a subscribe. And I wish you the best.